Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Tata Global Beverages Limited Q3 FY20 earnings conference call hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Manoj Menon from ICICI Securities. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to the 3Q FY20 results conference call of Tata Global Beverages Limited. The management is represented by Mr. Ajoy Misra, Managing Director and CEO, Mr. L. Krishna Kumar, Executive Director and Group CFO, and Mr. Rakesh Soni, Global Head of Strategy and M&A. Now over to the management for the call.
Thank you and good evening from Mumbai. This is the investor presentation for the third quarter ended December 2019. I start with the usual disclaimer which all of you are familiar with, and coming on to the executive summary. Consolidated revenues of the company grew by 3% to INR 1,962 crores and by 4% YTD, with overall volume growth of 5% in quarter 3 and 6% for year to date. Consolidated EBITDA grew by 23% in quarter 3 and by 14% YTD, both over the last year. Consolidated net profit is higher by 25% in Q3 and 30% if you exclude one-off items on a YTD basis. The good news again continues that the India branded business grew by 7% in Q3 and 8% YTD in volume terms. Our subsidiary, which is a B2B business, Tata Coffee, including the Vietnam operations, grew 25% in Q3 and 24% for YTD. Another important announcement at this point is you all may have heard and read about the fact that we have a new MD and CEO who will join us effective April the 4th, Sunil D'Souza. Also, that the Tata Global Beverages and Tata Consumer Products business of Tata Chemicals merger is in final stages and the effective date will be announced shortly. As part of our ongoing restructuring of the portfolio, we also announced that we have completed the sale of our Czech business in the Czech Republic to Dr. Muller Pharma, and this deal got concluded and completed in Jan of this year. Coming to the market context, you all know the FMCG growth story. So on slide number 6, you can see the slowdown in the FMCG growth as a backdrop against which you should be seeing our results, where we've done better than category in India. The exchange rates slide is also there in terms of movements between USD and INR and GB pounds versus INR, because these are the ones that have a material impact for us. Commodity costs have been benign in both India as well as outside. In Africa, from where our Tetley teas are sourced. Also Arabica has been soft, so has Robusta. At a glance, if you look at performance of our various key businesses, I'm on slide 8 of the uploaded presentation. There has been an India business revenue growth of 6%, volume growth of 7%. US coffee, we've had pressure on revenue and volume in the quarter. Similarly, our other international businesses, which is UK, Canada, and others, have also had pressure on top line and volume in the quarter. Tata Coffee, as I mentioned earlier, has done well compared to the previous year. And therefore, in consolidation, we have a revenue growth of 3% and in underlying terms 4% and an overall volume growth of 5%. So that's performance at a glance. In terms of the quarter ended December, some highlights of specific markets. India, I already mentioned the growth percentages. The national brands are gaining market share, which is good news for the India tea business. And Tata Tea Agni and Tata Tea Spice Mix continues the growth in high double digits. You may all recall that we had acquired a Dhanseri brand called Lal Ghoda, also Kala Ghoda, but that is a very small part, it's mainly Lal Ghoda. Happy to report that the integration of this business along with our tea business in Rajasthan is moving well and delivering as per our plans and KPIs. In other updates, Tata Tea Premium, which is our main brand and the largest brand in our portfolio, has kick-started its very specific hyper-local way of being restaged with its Desh Ki Chai campaign, and we have launched multi-regional marketing across specific states of Delhi, UP, Punjab and Haryana with campaigns which are very tailor-made, blends which are specific for these states. And if you look at the packs, they're all very evocative of the regions, and it evokes a sense of pride for consumption of these campaigns. And all these campaigns are available on YouTube, and some of you may have already seen it. Early reports are that this is actually helping the restage of Tata Tea Premium in the key market.
Participants, please stay connected while we reconnect the line for the management. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected while we reconnect the management line. Participants, thank you for patiently holding. We have the line for the management reconnected. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So I was just winding down from the India story, and I was about to say that we've launched our 7th Tata Cha outlet at the Cunningham Road in Bangalore. So that's the update on the India story. In UK, revenue YTD is almost flat. There's a slight gain in market share in Tetley, both in volume as well as value. So that's a good YTD story in terms of share. And the new campaign equity campaign has been played out in the UK. It's a campaign which is #NowWeAreTalking. It's a very unique campaign and is people sit up and take notice, and therefore our brand equity scores are going up consequently. In the US, I mentioned about the strain on volume growth. However, we are doing quite a few innovative launches to build brand equity, both in tea brands of Tetley as well as Gooder, as well as under the 8 o'clock coffee brand, we have launched a range of barista blends. I'm on slide 12. These are creating new excitement in the category for us, and hopefully going forward we would be arresting the trajectory of our coffee branded business in the US. Canada continues to be a very strong story for us, both in terms of revenue growth and market shares, volume and value. And there has been a very successful launch of Tetley Super Teas in Canada, and has been awarded the 2019 Best New Product by Spark International. So again, good new news in Canada keeps us at the number one strong brand, that is Tetley in Canada. Tata Coffee, top line I spoke about, grew 25%, driven mainly by Vietnam operation sales. Domestic instant coffee volumes are impressive, and profitability has improved. And we also have launched all the coffee bungalows on our estate have joined Ama Trails with Taj Hotels, signing a management contract with Tata Coffee. Coming to our JVs, strong performance in Tata Starbucks. 28 new stores have opened till date. Vadodara is the new city that has come on board. There has been a strong focus on social media, and loyalty programs continue to drive customer engagement and sales. Our program of Food 3.0 continues to perform and contribute very well. There is a Barista Pride campaign which has been introduced, where a unique campaign where 174 stores across India serve a specially curated beverage. And as per our gender equality and gender diversity, we are far ahead of anyone else, and we are moving on the path that we had laid out for us to be exceptional employers. And in terms of some of the recent stores, we've opened the Bangalore International Airport store. We've opened a new store on the Mumbai-Nasik highway. Vadodara I spoke about. Coming to slide number 16, Narishco. We've been under some pressure in Narishco on volumes and revenue in this quarter. While Himalayan and Tata Water Plus have done well, in Tata Gluco Plus, we had some production constraints, which hit sales in this quarter. Also, excessive and late monsoons in Orissa and coastal Andhra, which are very big markets for Tata Gluco Plus, also dampened sales. But going forward, all of that is coming back. Very innovative marketing campaigns. I alluded to that earlier. Tata Tea Premium has a Delhi-based campaign, which alludes to Delhi ki regional pride. And there's a digital film called Delhi Wali Wedding, and it's very evocative in terms of Tata Tea Premium, celebrating that spirit. Similarly, we celebrate the spirit with a specific campaign for Uttar Pradesh. And as we speak, there are campaigns also being developed for Haryana and Punjab. These are all very strong markets for Tata Tea Premium, which is our number one premium brand, and we think we will make impressive gains in the coming months in this. I'm going to ask my colleague LK to give you an update on the M&A thing. It's slide number 18.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ajoy, and good evening, everyone. So, in terms of the merger of TTAEY, which is the consumer products business of Tata Chemicals, we are in the final leg. As you are aware, we have intimated earlier that we have received the NCLT approval earlier this month, and so has Tata Chemicals. We're in the process of completing various activities, including some of the agreements that need to be entered into in preparedness for taking over control of the business. So we will be announcing the effective date shortly, and the board also has formed a committee to fix the record date. So these announcements will be made shortly. As far as the sale of the Czech business, we've always been talking about Czech being one of the markets that we are reviewing, and we have been able to conclude a transaction for sale of the business, which we've intimated to the stock exchange again earlier in the month. This sale will be in line with our strategy to focus on larger markets and global brands. The financial impact of this sale, which is not expected to be material, will be reflected in the results in the fourth quarter.
And as I mentioned briefly in the executive summary, 2 management updates in terms of significant onboarding of people. I talked about Sunil D'Souza, who's coming on board as MD and CEO with effect 4th April 2020. He, as you know, has over 25 years of rich experience in the consumer goods industry and has a very good in-depth understanding of the food and beverage categories. He's currently the MD of Whirlpool India. Prior to that, he served in several leadership roles globally in PepsiCo, and brings a strong focus on strategy, growth, and execution, including inorganic growth. And also, we announced the joining of Mr. Ajit Krishna Kumar as Chief Operating Officer. He has over 20 years of global work experience, including responsibilities for strategy, corporate finance, and M&A across various industries. One of his key initial responsibilities at Tata Global Beverages or Tata Consumer Products, when it becomes that, will be to lead the integration of the foods business of Tata Chemicals and the beverage business of Tata Global Beverages. And I now hand you over to LKK for some more flavor on the financial performance for the quarter.
Thanks, Ajoy. And moving on to slide number 21, we have highlights for the quarter. In terms of standalone results, you'll see there's a 5% increase in sales. Having said that, the underlying branded business grew 7% in volume terms and 6% in value terms. The difference is because of changes in export sales and the like. Consolidated turnover up by 3%, and that's 4% in constant currency. The international business had a decline in this quarter, but overall the EBIT performance has been good for the international business. Quarter-on-quarter performance is impacted by phasing and many other things. The brands are doing reasonably well, and we've had, on a YTD basis, we've had some volume growth in key markets in the international business. EBITDA for on a standalone basis up by 13%, and the profitability of the India business continues to be strong. You will notice both in standalone and consolidated, and more in standalone, that the advertising spend is higher, and we have been investing on some of the new launches. So the improvement in profit that we're seeing in the quarter, both in standalone and consolidated, is after higher spend on advertising. The next slide is the results for the 9-month period. Overall trends, similar, standalone growth 6% compared to 5% in the quarter, and consolidated is up by 4%. You'll see that in terms of EBITDA performance, it's strong growth in consolidated basis. India performance is to some extent impacted by a couple of things, higher advertising spend that we talked of, but also by increased investment in some sales and distribution transformation initiatives that are currently underway. Tata Coffee, just a small comment, profits improved compared to the same period last year. The performance would have been better if commodity prices had been stronger. It has been impacted by commodity prices. The other comment on Tata Coffee is the Vietnam plant. The Vietnam plant had the first quarter of operating profit. It's ramping up capacity, and we are having good marquee orders. So we expect that the full year of performance going forward into next year. Moving on to slide number 27, which is the segment performance. You'll see here that tea business segment revenue, there was a 2% increase. Coffee, we talked about the international business having a lower quarter in value terms, also because of lower commodity prices. If you look at the segment results, profitability-wise, there's strong improvement in coffee profitability, driven by various cost initiatives and lower commodity costs for coffee. Going to the non-branded business, you'll see segment revenue up by 20% and segment results high by 33%. This reflects Vietnam coming on stream, and it's also reflecting good sales in the instant coffee business in India. The next slide is on the shareholding pattern, just for information. So we have about 26% held by FIs and 34% held by mutual funds and institutional investors. The share market cap has been trending upwards, as you're aware. We are now looking forward to completing the integration and moving ahead with building a stronger organization, as well as focusing on value realization from the integration of the two businesses. So over to you, Ajoy.
And to close this one-way presentation, there are a series of recognition and awards that we've got this quarter very quickly. Information Technology, TGB won the Cyber Risk Qualification Champion of the Year by Data Security Council. Workplace, Tata Starbucks received an award as being amongst the top 100 best companies for women in India. Tata Starbucks also received an award of being the most admired international brand retailer of the year. And Tata Coffee was awarded the best Indian coffee at the 4th Nesto Illy International Coffee Awards. And I talked about Great Taste Awards. Tetley in the UK, at the Oscars of the fine food and beverages world, also got great recognition. And finally, on the CSR front, our DARE school was recognized as one of the best special educational schools in Brainfield School Excellence Awards 2018. Sustainability is at the core of our company's business, and we continue to give great focus on it. On slide number 28, I've called out some of the key initiatives that we are supporting and deeply engaged in. Trustee is a certification program that we contribute towards financially and otherwise, which is about sustainable sourcing. We partnered with UNICEF to improve lives of adolescent girls. We're reaching over 250,000 beneficiaries in northeast of India. Project Jalodhari provides water and sanitation for thousands of community members in Himachal and Assam. We have affordable healthcare for 100,000 people that we provided from Munnar and Assam through hospitals that are run by us, and the cost picked by TGB. And we also joined the UK Plastics Pact, and we are very much leading the EPR for plastic waste and initiative in India. Already on climate, we are one of the 6 companies in India, top 6 on this, climate disclosure, climate leadership CDP list. We have successfully been reducing our carbon footprint, and we've decreased our carbon footprint by 30% in the period 2010 to 2019. Renewable energy is a focus in the company wherever our plants are to move to solar. And we had piloted Himalayan water in the US market, and we have been certified carbon neutral in that program. So these are just some of the highlights. And I now thank everyone for patient listening, and over to you all for any observations or questions you have that me and my team members here will attempt to answer.
Sure, thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask questions may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Nilesh Shah from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My first question is on the international tea business. After 3 or 4 quarters, this is the first quarter where we haven't seen too much of EBITDA margin expansion. Seems to be a phasing of ad spends. But just to understand, is this more in the UK or more in Canada, or is it both the geographies where this has happened?
No, I think it is, you're right, it is phasing of ad spends, and we talked about the campaign of saying now we are talking for Turkey. So it is more UK, but also a bit of Canada.
A little bit of Australia.
But we had supers in Australia also. There's been a launch of the cold infusions. Australia is also contributing.
Okay, all right. And any views on this near term, or that's too difficult to sort of forecast in terms of how?
I don't want to comment on ad spend on quarter to quarter. I think.
Okay. Okay. And generally, if you take the full year and maybe the next 2 years, would you expect this trend of margin expansion to generally continue?
I think we are. You have seen that we have margin has expanded in the international business from where we were a few years ago, and clearly the focus is on that. Having said that, we also have to get growth back. So there will be some investment, like we talked of cold infusions as an example. There is also, in terms of underlying business, the focus is on margin and profitability. But at the same time, to get top line, we talked of cold infusions. We're looking at new innovations. Since we're talking of a 2 to 3 year time frame, there will be periods where we'll be looking at growth to new products as well.
Okay. And after Yemka sale, is there anything else which is under review at this point in time?
We said there are a few smaller businesses, and Yemka is one of them. Yes, there are a few businesses still. I don't want to be specific because these businesses are being managed. Yeah.
So it's not over yet, the process of restructuring, that is still on, basically?
No, there's still something to be done.
Okay. And finally, if I take a 2 or 3 year view from the Vietnam plant, what is the revenue potential?
I mean, it'll be a few 100 crores from where we are, as we're seeing in full capacity.
Currently, we're about annualizing at about.
There is, also commodity price volatility. We expect this year will be at somewhere between, expect to be 60 to 70% capacity utilization, probably go to 80 to 90 next year, and thereafter get into full. Right? But I'm a little cautious here because we have got good marquee customers recruited. We are ramping up the project, and I would like to wait for a year or two to make a more, and also the price is going to impact. But I guess it's going to be of the order of magnitude I mentioned.
Okay. And just one question on the domestic tea business. Margins out there also have come up quite well, especially the last 3 quarters or so. For the last for the first 9 months of this financial year, we are averaging at about just over 14%. Is there room for further expansion out here, or you think this is a comfortable level of margins to have in the domestic tea business?
And we believe that we continuously focus on margin expansion, so there's no comfort level at any particular number. So I think, with investment, I said there's also investment on sales and distribution transformation. So all going well, we will drive more growth. So I'm not saying that we're going to sit back to this level of margin.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Kapoor from Investec. Please go ahead.
Hi. Just 2 questions on the India tea business. Firstly, I just wanted to understand whether, this increase in advertising spends is more an internal, kind of initiative, or it's also partly due to the competitive intensity in the market?
It's both, obviously. We want to drive more growth. We want to build more equity. We want to gain market share, which we are. And yes, we have traditionally not been the biggest spenders. So we want to bring a good balance, between our sales push and brand pull.
Yeah. The reason I ask is, this quarter specifically, the spend has been fairly elevated at a time where, probably other companies at an overall level, we don't know the tea sale business, but at an overall level, you've seen advertising spend kind of trending down. So just wanted to get your sense, especially for this time around, is it, have you pushed probably spends more in a market where the spends have not been so high?
No, I think each company's brand strategy for the year has campaign investments phased out as per their strategy. So I wouldn't read too much into that.
Got it. The second thing was, on the market share. So just wanted to, get a sense of the industry dynamic right now, because you're gaining share as well as your largest competitors also seems to be, gaining share. So is this largely, share gains are largely coming from the regional players and the smaller players?
We believe that is so. Yes, because you're right. We are gaining share. Our prime competitor is also gaining some share, and therefore it's coming, we believe, from regional and local players. And of course, basically that.
Got it. That's it from me. I'll come back for more. Thanks.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. My question is regarding Tata Starbucks performance for 9M FY20.
Yeah, what's the question, Sumant?
Tata Starbucks performance for 9 months FY20.
I think we spoke about it. It's there, So this quarter we had a growth of 27%, and 9 months also it is in broadly in the same ballpark. Overall, this year we have opened 28 new outlets, and the pace of opening the outlet continues to be the way it was. And in terms of all our matrices, we are in line with the overall operating plan for this year.
So operating profit wise, it has break even at the EBITDA level. in FY 19 or 18. What is the status currently?
No, since we have broken even last year itself, as you rightly mentioned, we continue to be in that situation. We will be EBITDA positive this year as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jigar Shah from Maybank. Please go ahead.
Good evening and congratulations for good numbers. My question is that recently it has been reported that Unilever may not be too keen on the tea segment. And I want to know if this is true, what are the implications for branded tea business in general, and are there any opportunities or benefits if this were to be the case?
Your voice is cracking. Are you talking about
Unilever
report about Unilever business? Right. I think we are.
Yes.
So we ourselves are not clear what it means, and we also hear that any review is for the international piece, but we're not sure ourselves. So we'll have to see how things evolve before making a comment.
The second question is about the Tata consumer business. I saw from yesterday's presentation that the consumer business has done quite well. Would you like to throw some light on that, which of course will be integrated with us now, but I guess if it's possible, if you can have some comment on that.
No, from what we understand, and the segment results have been published, and that is showing an improvement in profitability, and I think a double-digit revenue growth. So I think it's largely in line with our expectations. There's been, from what we know, there's been good volume growth as well. But as we take full control and become more familiar, in the next quarter we'll be able to comment more specifically.
Okay, thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jigar.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Virat Kacharya from Securities Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. I just have 3 questions. First, on the international tea business. Just trying to understand in terms of base business scale and in terms of base business profitability. If you look at the base business performance in last 9 months, is that what the threshold scale and profitability should be, or do we see any more avenues in terms of cost or rationalizations, or if you can just talk something more on that front, that would be helpful.
It's too broad a question. So overall, we have improved profitability, and we would like to see both higher growth and better profitability in the international business. Having said that, there are some structural challenges of black tea. Yes, and we still think there are opportunities for higher growth and improvement in margins, but I'm not commenting on quarter on quarter. I think.
No, so I'm not even looking at quarter on quarter. I'm looking at a 9-month view.
From a medium-term objective perspective, we'd like to grow the business faster and look at improving profitability, because profitability has come down for a variety of reasons that you're aware from some of the previous periods, including pre-Brexit.
Okay, so if one were to understand this a bit better, would the improvement in profitability would largely be a function of also, you talked about this restructuring or exits from certain other markets. So after one considers those aspects, is this a business which structurally is at least say 10% or at least a double-digit EBITDA margin business, or this is like a base business margin one should expect and not significant improvement in terms of, whatever growth one may see may largely function of the sales.
We need to have, you can contact Rakesh, and if you want to have a better understanding of the business, because this is supposed to be a quarter performance, right? And so if it's a little more strategic and you want to understand the business, please get in touch with Rakesh. I'm sure he'll spend some time with you.
Okay. Second question is on the India tea business. Now, if I look at the first 9 months in the business, volume growth has been around 7-8%. how would the mix be in terms of, say, Tata Tea Premium and other brands? Because you talked about Tata Agni and Spice that are growing in high double digits. So just trying to understand, how is the volume growth trends across key major brands for us?
So we've seen all our national brands have done well, and most of our regional brands have also done well. It's a holistic performance, is how I would like to put it, rather than call out, each of the brands and talk about it separately. But I think overall, it's been a very holistic story. I was focusing on Tata Tea Premium because that was the first restage that we are doing in North India, and initial results have been favorable. Tata Tea Gold, we did a restage earlier in the year, the financial year, and that showed a good uptick, except that the FMCG slowdown story, and since that is a premium brand, the primary sales were low for a certain while because of excessive stock that was lying earlier, but that's going to correct itself going forward. And so it's a holistic story overall for national as well as regional brands.
Okay. And last question was, on this merger of the consumer business of Tata Chem coming into Tata Global. It's since last May, it's been almost 7 months now. So if you can just talk about, have we started any integration activities, either in terms of distribution, joint procurement or sourcing, or any of those aspects, where we were actually expecting things to play out. So has any efforts been taken already started, in last 6-8 months? Any color on that?
We have been doing some scoping exercises, having teams talking to each other, but we can actually take more detailed and specific action only after the process is complete. Yes, there has been some preliminary work which has been ongoing.
Okay, but the major part will actually play out after merger.
We'll now accelerate it once it's done, because we're not, it's not yet one company and we can't take some decisions. So we'll accelerate. Yes, some preparatory work has been done, but we'll accelerate now going forward.
Okay, fine. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit B. from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Actually, my question was that I've been noticing that we have launched multiple ready-to-eat products under Tata Smart Foods brand. This is under Tata Chemical Business or Tata Global Beverages as of now?
Which product? Sorry.
Q, I think you're talking about Tata Q.
Tata Q. Yeah, Tata Q is not really part of either TGBL or Tata Chemicals. That's an incubator business which is currently, I think, under Tata Industries. So it's an incubator business which is set up by the group, which started a while ago. Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I asked, because I always thought that all these new launches and innovation under FMCG and food segment will be via TGBL at a Tata level. So can you just throw some light on this?
Yeah, I think that's when we are, we have a lot to observe right now, but we will be reviewing, other categories and other opportunities a little later, and maybe we can comment at that point in time.
No, plus I think it's important to note here that it's a pilot, It's not a full-fledged launch as such. And we do have, various pilots that goes in different companies. But once it gets sizable, then we will see how we can, consolidate everything under one platform.
Yes. Okay, got it. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jay Doshi from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for the opportunity. Could you give an overview or some outlook of commodity prices for India tea business, maybe for the next few quarters or if possible FY21, based on the visibility you have now?
Yeah, I mean, like every other, like this presentation, I will start with a disclaimer, but, as far as we are seeing, it's been, we expect prices to be somewhat higher from where they are. Because it's been a year where prices have been turning low. So we expect some recovery in prices. I think we're seeing a little bit of recovery in South Indian teas. So slightly firmer, but not very firm from where it is today.
Understand. And do you have plans to take price increases in that case? We have not seen much price increase over the past 12 months.
There's been price deflation, and so we'll have to review. I think it depends on the extent. You can't automatically take a price increase. It depends on the extent and whether the increase is sustained. If there is a sustained increase in prices, yes, we will look at taking price corrections.
Understood. Second is when I look at your international tea, the others international portfolio performance for this quarter, I see there is a dip in margins on a sequential basis. Now, I understand that there is a volume growth decline as well as constant currency revenue growth decline, but those trends were visible even in the previous 2 quarters. So was there any other sort of moving?
You joined in the initial part of the call. I think there was a question on advertising. This quarter had
understood. So it's on the advertising in that
advertising Australia, in UK, and a little bit in Canada.
Understood. And final one is usually you get some dividends from when I look at standalone numbers, you get dividends from TTAEY in second or third quarter. So I believe that has not come through this year, right? So should we expect that
And we will take a call. I think standalone for us, I think we should look at consolidated performance. I think standalone is less relevant. So we will take a call in March as to what we want to do, whether we want to declare dividend.
Understood. Okay. Thank you so much. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kaustubh Pawaskar from Sharekhan. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity and congrats for good set of numbers. So my question is on 8 o'clock coffee. When can we expect, the growth in revenues for 8 o'clock coffee to turn around? And, what are the strategies, we are looking of for improving the growth prospect of this business? Because, there is a competitive pressure and also the market is not that conducive over there. So can we expect the growth to, come back?
Yeah. So, under the 8 o'clock coffee brand, we have 3 parts of the business. One is the bags business, roast and ground bag, 100% Arabica, which you might know. In the bag segment, we play in small bags as well as large bags. And the small bags business got impacted a bit because of delisting of a large account. But we have counter strategies in place how to consequently fill the demand gap by, putting more pressure on big bags. Product is the same, as well as going to other accounts, incremental distribution accounts for small bags. So the journey is on to correct the slight fall in the bags business. Second part, not insignificant at all, is the pods, the Keurig pods business, and in that I think we bottomed out, and from here onwards we are already seeing the arrest of the market share position, and we are introducing some innovative new products that we have developed in our mainline 8 o'clock coffee, such as the Barista blends and flavors of America and such like, and some of those we are going to try out in the pods segment. And we hope that, we will regain momentum there. And then there is also a private label business that we have in our coffee business, which is showing good growth. So overall, I think we are in a good place in the journey. But yes, this quarter we have lost some volume.
Right. And so, in terms of Canada, because Canada we were doing good and, we were getting market share. What is the outlook for that particular business?
We continue to do well in Canada. we continue to have a revenue growth, and we shared on slide number 13. We've shared with you our market share and volume and value performance. But Canada overall is a very good story. I mean, I don't think on any front there is any concern. So I don't know where you picked that up from.
Okay. So one last one. So it is fair to assume that, India, US, Canada, UK, this will be the, 4 key regions for you going ahead, especially after the merger in the tea and coffee business, US, India, Canada, and UK would be the key businesses?
Well, these are the significant businesses in our portfolio. And yes, since our stated goal is focus and portfolio rationalization, it points towards that direction, that these are the key markets. And within these markets, obviously, the Indian market, both foods and beverages, will give the overall company a better financial profile in terms of, going forward. But we believe we are a global company. We want to be a global company for all the synergies and benefits that it gives us. And we will continue to nurture our international businesses, but the yardsticks by which we will judge, performance might be different.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alok Jha from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. The first question, and continuing with what one of the previous participants had asked with respect to the Tata Q, just want to check, so the distribution is being handled by whom? Is it being handled by TGBL, or is that a separate Tata Group entity who's handling the distribution also?
In all fairness, we don't want to comment on something which is not part of our business, and we don't know. We are not in a position to, handle that question. I hope you'd appreciate that.
Sure. And second question is that there was recent news articles with respect to revision in the agreement with Pepsi for Nourishco. So can you just please throw some light on that? What are the contours and what is the likely outcome, if that all can share?
Nourishco.
Huh?
Yeah.
So I think the Tata Gluco Plus as a brand is doing well, and we talked about that. And recently we've seen traction in Tata Water Plus as well. So at this point in time, we are, and we are, as you know, in the context of the merger, we are looking at a strategy for growth, right? And but we think liquids will be part of the growth agenda. Not only what is currently in the portfolio of Nourishco, but maybe beyond that. But having said that, it's in early stages of evaluation. So in the context of wanting to take a better look at the liquid opportunity, including water, we are seeing, what is working, what's not working. And so maybe as the new CEO comes on board and we finalize the strategy, we'll be able to communicate better with you. But like all other parts of the business, we are relooking at what we want to do. That's really where we are.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Gupta from India Infoline. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, just wanted to clarify. So, Tata Coffee management earlier during the year guided for a revenue potential of around 400 crore for Vietnam plant. Today in the call earlier you mentioned 200 crore. So is there, sir, any downward revision or any new calculation in this? Or
I didn't say 200, I said few hundred crores. Right?
Oh, sorry.
I'm not commenting on 400. I also said, I don't know when they said that and what was the price for coffee at that point in time versus where it is now. So that's why I'm being a little careful. I said a few hundred crores. And I also said it depends on the horizon. And if you're going to take 400 today, next year, may not happen. There are two variables, the extent of ramp up in year 1 and 2 of the plant, and second is the price of coffee. That's why I said a 200 crores.
I'm sorry, sir, I heard it wrong. Sir, just one more question. In the international tea business, I understand that you mentioned that there have been a phasing of ad spends, but is there any element of one-off also in the cost, because you've also restructured, you've also done some restructuring in this part of the business during the quarter?
There could be, but it's not material. I mean, we're not separately called it out, but it's not a very large number to call it out separately.
Okay, thanks. That's all for me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We have one last question in queue. The last question is from the line of Rishabh Shah from RS Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. I just wanted to understand what are the key expectations of the company when Mr. D'Souza comes in, as in what the company has not been able to achieve so far or less efficiently. If you could tell in detail. Thank you.
So what I can say is that he comes in at a very interesting phase of this evolution and transformation of this company, and he comes with a huge amount of experience in categories that we already are, and more. This is actually quite a transformative moment, and a lot of preparatory work over the last couple of years has been done to build a platform from which this company should really go great guns ahead. So that's all that is appropriate for me to speak at the moment on this subject.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the last question in queue. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management team for closing comments.
Thank you. And yes, it's been a continued performance which has given us satisfaction. And thank you for your interest and engaging with Tata Global Beverages as we shortly transform into becoming Tata Consumer Products. Good evening from Mumbai, and good evening and good night from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes the conference. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You may now disconnect your lines.